final race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Championships at Arctic Altenberg in Saxony. Well, it is deep sub-zero here for the start of a first ever competition for women's monobob in the World Championships. This new Olympic discipline making its World Championship debut here. Martin Haven and John Morgan taking a deep breath and maybe one step back, because John, in the cold conditions this weekend, this track has been really tricky and it's not going to be any easier in the monobobs.
Martin, the first ever World Championships here in 1991. I was here and it was cold like these conditions. The track doesn't have a lot of bite to it, so you're going to see a lot more discrepancies in the way the sleds come down the track, especially these monobobs. You know, up here curve 3 sets you up for curve 4. Boy, you can't make any mistakes out of here. It's been a challenge in all of the skeleton, women's bob, two-man bob disciplines. It's flat up here 6, 7, and 8. Doesn't allow you to make any mistakes. And now this long straightaway before Corizal, and boy does it push you down in the seat, couple G's of force, you exit hopefully on the right side of that curve, so you get 11, 12. Oh, then this 13 comes at you pretty quick. 14, no mistakes. This is the graveyard section going in uphill. 15, 16, still accelerating. These monobobs might hit 80 miles an hour. Through and down, Martin. This is going to be, you know, visually very entertaining competition, especially for us sitting where we are.
Yeah, very spectacular in training. There's been quite a few crashes during the training week this week with the four-man and with the monobob. And so the ice, well, the ice is hovering around -6, -7, air temperature around -8. It was -10 as everybody arrived this morning, so it is warming up just a little. But that means it's like sliding on glass. There's almost no grip, and the lighter monobob sleds, which only have one athlete in as opposed to a normal two-seater sled that the women would drive, they are very skitterish at the best of times. The back end likes to walk around behind the athlete, and that makes for very tricky driving conditions. So we have 23 sleds in our field. Now, only 20 of the drivers going into today's race had ever driven a monobob before training this week of this type. It's a brand new monobob sled this year, built by a high-tech company in Munich, Bavaria, Ixent, and it is articulated like the normal women's sleds. Looks very, very similar. But the final 3 sliders you'll see on our list from the Ukraine, Bobsleigh Federation of Russia and Poland have never driven this new type of sled. It is more like the traditional sled, so it should be a bit less of a culture shock. But boy, they're going to find these things sliding around a little bit. So 23 sleds, and let's get into the action. The first ever Women's Monobob World Championship. Kicking us off, Germany's Stephanie Schneider, 30 years old. She's had 2 races this year in these monobobs. 4th in St. Moritz, bronze medalist in Königssee. And John, this is going to give us all an indication of just how tough this track is going to be for our athletes today.
Yeah, this is the Rabbit, and this is a very successful Rabbit in women's bob competition. Also, as a brakeman world champion, she's been a world champion as a driver. And Martin, this coming down these little sleds coming down this challenging Altenberg track, going to be very interesting.
Well, she sets a brand new start record. There has not been an official monobob start record. 5:55 was the fastest 2-person sled in the women's race. Oh, very late off 9.
That says it all. We're going to see a lot of that. Hopefully we won't see anybody not get through there. These are great lines here. Ooh, low,
yeah,
watch out
down to the
here. This is excellent through the graveyard. Look her tilt her head a little bit to one side. These aren't like the sleds that they drive. The Callens, track record, a minute. Now, what were they doing in the women's bob? 56s? Martin?
As soon as I said what the start was, I'm having a look at my piece of paper as well. The women's record is, where are we? 56.22, and we had high 56, mid 57 runs. Last week, though, the temperature was about 7 or 8 degrees warmer, and the ice gave a lot more purchase. Big waves here, and that's the exit of 9.
3 seconds. This is where she almost out of curve 9. You know, I was with Tony Carlino last night, and he's telling me they've reshaped curve 9, in his opinion. It's a lot easier to get out of there, cleaner. A little late there, though, but the rest of the run, Martin, very impressed how much control she had.
Good stuff from Stephanie Schneider. It's only her 3rd race in these new sleds. Only the 3rd race for Kim Yoo-ran of Korea as well. She was 4th in Koenigsegg, 11th in the 2nd race in Innsbruck. Now, there have been races in parallel with the World Cup. There have been races in parallel with Europa Cup and North America's Cup, all of which are going into the melting pot with athletes all vying for the overall title.
Pretty good in Koenigsegg, Martin, just off the podium, 4th place, but with 4,400 deficiency. This is a different start track than Koenigsegg or Innsbruck. You really got to run. And Stephanie Schneider, who's known as a great starting athlete, huge advantage that's going to be tough for the Koreans to overcome on this one.
Yeah, really tough.
44-74.
Longest start, with maybe the exception of La Plagne in France. So it's a massive sprint for the athletes. Oh, skids down into 15.
A little bit, there's some drift.
Oh, in fact,
Doesn't
that was 12
control.
and 13. Whoa.
Ooh, late there, too. I think Stephanie Schneider put down an awesome run, Martin. She was, you know,
agreed.
If you look at the time sheets in Koenigsegg, she was only like 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths total behind Stephanie Schneider in Koenigsegg, and now she's a 2nd plus down. Either Stephanie Schneider has figured out how to drive these sleds, or Kim has just had a very dysfunctional first run.
Well, there was lots of
This
problems.
is not how you want to enter that curve. Wow.
For sure.
Watch the drift. Watch the back end there, Martin. There was a lot of
Tokyo
what do we
drifting.
call yeah. Little Robin Hood there too.
Yeah. So Kim Yoo-ran, 2nd sled on the ice, showing us just the challenges that these sleds are going to present to everybody. Christina Brunner of the Netherlands, the 31-year-old, in her 3rd race in these sleds as well. Really disappointing in St. Moritz with her performance. 16th place, 7th place in Koenigsegg, so she rallied there. 6:46 the start.
Well, she got beat up at the start too. Look at that. You know, 28 hundredths, Martin. That's a lot of time. Of course, this start track favors people who can run with power. Look at she's got control, but they're skidding almost on the exit of every curve. Here's 9. Ooh, that wasn't perfect. And now she's got to get it under control. She's really big dip there, Martin. Exit, skidding into the place you don't want to skid into. Graveyard, very good, but boy, she's a 2nd down, Martin. How good was Stephanie Schneider?
Expect
Schneider,
the German drivers to be very good. 61.56. Yeah, big eyebrows raised from Coach Graham Richardson. But that shows
Martin,
Christine has really struggled.
See all those people in the blue jackets down there and the finish straightaway? You know what they're doing? They're there to catch the sled.
They're waiting for the monobobs. The 4-man sleds
they're all like...
they make it all the way into the finish, but the monobobs don't have that speed.
Don't. Look at the runners. Look at that. She said Robin Hood that out of there. And wow.
Well, she saved the crash there, John, but it cost her in pace, didn't it? And look at her line compared to Schneider's.
Sideways. Look at the difference, yes. You know, Schneider just I don't know. I think Snyder, first one down, she might be catch me if you can. Both sleds down since, can't get within a second of her.
Well, now here is one of our expected front runners, Brianna Walker from Australia. Australia with her sled. She didn't go in the women's race. She wasn't feeling 100%, and she thinks that she's got a better chance here. She knows how to drive these sleds. She's had wins in this type of sled, 2 wins this season in 4 starts, and she's won in the old plank sleds as well.
She's a good starter, Martin.
Yes, she is.
She's a very good starter. She just challenged, in fact, only a couple hundreds back, 300s back. Now, she crashed twice in training in the women's Bob 2-person sled, so she didn't compete in that and put all her eggs in the basket here, and I don't blame her. She wasn't going to medal in the 2-person, but she could in this event. Red numbers! Wow.
Very late off 9. It is a 4-heat race, so there is time to recover, but John, you can give yourself too much of a mountain to climb.
Yeah, this is good enough for second, I think. No, she's falling a second back too. Stephanie Snyder. What a statement.
Whoa. Well, Stephanie Snyder
came down without a mistake.
Yeah. And for the others, corner 9 is survival, isn't it? They're getting in, and the sled is not giving them the bite they need.
Curve 11-12.
Yeah, once it goes wrong off 9, you haven't got the speed, and then everything else is a trap as well. We said in Skeleton, this place is like there's a bear trap on every corner waiting to bite you, and here's 9.
Yeah, look, it's not the way you want to look at that straight away. Look at the articulation on the sleds, and now the skid, bang, bang. She's in a total spin almost, Martin. And then here, watch the way she negotiates out of here. She takes 11-12, she skids her. Look how higher she bounced up in the cowling.
Yeah.
She's looking at that
bounced out of the seat. Andrea Grecu, the 26-year-old from Romania, 5 races this year, both in the World Cup and in the Europa Cup races. 4th in Winterberg, her best result, but she has got plenty of experience. 6:27, so that's 900s down at the start on Stephanie Snyder.
Well, she is a pretty good starter. Martin, she's done pretty good and not bad, couple of the races. 1500s back.
That's skidding around.
Skid. Yeah. See her get out of curve 9 right here.
Everybody's been trying to find the thinnest runners they can find to have some control. And look at the sled, both ends getting away from her in the Kreisel.
This ain't good, she's late here. She's gonna have to really Robin Hood it there. Whoa! Got away with that. And then the graveyard, pretty good. This looks like second. She could keep it below 1 second, which would be the first sled to do it since Snyder. 1 second
tied
exactly.
For second. Yeah, in second place rather, yeah. 1 second exactly
so
back.
Still can't. Again, Stephanie Snyder, we said it when she came down. Wow, she was straight the whole trip. And Martin, in Koenigsee, you remember Stephanie Snyder almost crashed in her final run when she finished bronze, so she might have won the gold there.
60 seconds of accident avoidance here. Look at this.
Andrea Greco. Wow. Whoa. Here's the exit of the Kreisel, and look at the way she negotiates this. Bang over here, and then she goes to the right side and then skid into 11-12. But she's second.
It is a handful. So next up is Nadezhda Sergeva from the Bobsleigh Federation of Russia. The 33-year-old has won Winterberg, the first race in the new season in these sleds. That's the first of her 4 races. Now, what's her start like? 6:26.
That's pretty good. Ooh, that's not
She
good,
was
though, that loud bang up there.
Former break athlete as well, so that helps definitely. Power athletes are going to be the big force in this.
Pushes her down in the middle of the second S, or second labyrinth. Late! And she gets away with it with some hard steering, but she corrects pretty well. She came out of there late, one bang, and she was, watch out here, this is a bad line. Oh, she gets away with it. Oh. Watch out here. Now, once the sled gets out of control, it's tough bringing them back. She's almost the same exact time as Greco. Right to the 100 turn Greco, maybe 110, 115, 116. Yeah, she lost a lot there on 13, 14, third. She ducks her head.
And again, yeah, just lies back in disappointment.
Very frustrating.
Corner
the only person
9.
to come down. Stephanie Schneider is the only person to come down without stress.
Yeah. Well,
look at this. Oh
yeah.
Look at this line going into 14 like that. Oh man, that you drift. You don't see 2 or 4 man sleds doing that because they don't have the weight. They can't skid across the ice like that. These, which are a couple 100 pounds, 300 pounds lighter. Yeah, frustration.
Yeah, it sure is. So next up for Great Britain, Misha McNeil, 27 years old. 4 races in these sleds this season, plus 3 or 4 last year in the old style. Best race, 5th place in Innsbruck. She's not one of the power starters, and that leaves her at a big disadvantage over Stephanie Schneider, 4/10 back.
Clean there. A little early, see she gets out of that Omega clean, yes. 6-7, now the combination of no tap in here a little bit. See if she can get out of curve 9. Around the bottom of it, Mark. Half second back. 3rd best speed. Dives, there's a great exit there. Let's see if she gets rewarded. She could stay within 70 hundredths right here. She could be number 2. 68, she's running the bubble for finishing 2. Could be less than a minute or a second. Could be the first sled less than a second. She is.
200s
Good
back.
drive,
yeah.
Mark. 5th best start, 2nd best. This sled came down with the 2nd least amount of stress than the 7 so far. Stephanie Schneider, it was a perfect run. But Misha McNeil's got to be happy with that.
It is a lot like the skeleton races on this hard ice. It's just how much control can you risk giving away for speed, considering how much speed you lose when it goes wrong in places like 9 and exit of the Kreisel and 13 and so on. Narrow runners mean...
Graveyard. Graveyard looks great here. She did well. That's why she's 2nd. That's
got to do 3 more of those.
2nd best drive. Not only in her time, that was just visually the 2nd best drive the sled come down the track. And she got beat at the start by 28
next up,
so that's a great drive.
Is another fast starter, Melissa Lottenholtz of Canada. She's done 3 races. She won the Europa Cup Eagles encounter and bronze in the World Cup field in Innsbruck just a couple of weeks ago. 6:23, only 5 hundredths away from the start.
Well, let's see if she can take this Canadian sled. Ooh, a lot of steering there and a big bang before 3. Let's see if she can negotiate down here without hitting the wall right here. Beautiful. Nice. Now curve 9. Nice. Excellent. She's 2nd. 6th best speed, though. She gets out 11-12 and a little early in the crossover. Hanging around for a top 5. 84.
Everybody wants fat runners for top speed, but you've got to have control, because on this track you give more away than you gain. 1.04 back, 4th place.
She's only 400ths behind Andrea Greco.
Yep.
And 2,200ths back from Misha McNeil. Only one sled within 1 second of Stephanie Schneider.
Yeah.
This is the only
So
real
easy.
mistake up here. Curve 3 to 4.
Yeah.
That didn't help.
Gives
and
away
then-
a lot of time.
Sure does. I mean, you're accelerating there. Here, watch the back end of the sled. Look at that. See that little, she get the take on too early. Pushed her off. Graveyard. Nice. Little tap there. Not perfect, but.
Yeah. Well, like Skeleton, it's such a tough balance. Grip in the corners because of the G-force grinding you into the ice. None at all on the straights, and that makes the corners even tougher. Next up, Alana Myers-Taylor. She's had 3 races in the sleds this year. Silver medalist in Koenigsee and in Innsbruck in the last race before the World Championships. And again, a hugely talented start athlete.
She should challenge Schneider for the start.
Oh.
There. Wow. Whoa. I guess she did challenge Stephanie Schneider at the start. Wow.
John, that is
see if Alana
4800ths off. 4800ths off the fastest 2-push start in the women's race.
Yeah, well, see if she can keep the runners on the ice. Skid there. Only a 2000ths lead, Martin. She should have been more than that with 50. Ooh, watch out here. It's over.
And it's back up.
Runners.
And we've seen that a number of times, that the sled will go over and come back up.
Watch out.
Well, she will definitely not be feeling 100% and just trying to gather her thoughts to get the sled down. Don't forget, they are still going at quite the speed down at the bottom. 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour. So the sled crashed and righted itself. She's still doing 70 plus miles an hour.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
One of the best drivers in the women's field. And again, the sleds with so little weight compared to what they're used to just get pushed around by the G-forces.
Well, that right there is what did her in. And that Tokyo Drift in 9. And look at that.
Yeah.
She's over right there, Martin. She was on record pace, needless to say.
An exit speed there is around 68 miles an hour. Sled comes back up.
Back up.
Into the Kreisel.
You wouldn't see a 2 or a 4
When did the Kreisel ever
sled.
save anybody?
Buddy.
See, the
They're going to take a
Kreisel
little
has
look
got a
at
good side.
Alana.
Well, she's feeling pretty beat up after that, I think. The doctors will check her out. Oh, she's going through the routine of getting the sled weighed and checked just in case. Next up, Martina Fonteneve of Switzerland. 3 races, silver in Winterberg, bronze in St. Moritz. She did have the feel for these sleds. Not a fast starter, but if she can negotiate down without major mistakes, suddenly everything is possible.
Well, if she comes down the track like Stephanie Schneider, she could challenge. No one. I mean, Misha McNeil's in second. It's the only other clean sled that's been down so far. 1300s down at the start, only 2100s there is a good sign. Let's see if she can get out of curve 9. Yes, she does. Only 2700s back. Second best speed. Exit.
Well, this is a really good run for Martina Fonteneve.
Yeah, this
Still
is second place
best.
if she gets through the graveyard.
Sideways into 15.
Still going to be second though, Martin. 50,
Yeah.
1600s back.
And look,
48.
it's not about who doesn't make mistakes. It's how many you make, and you're going to make mistakes in every single run. Nobody is going to come down without a bunch of errors. It's how big those errors are. And the narrower the runner, the
Stephanie
lower
Schneider.
your maximum speed, but the better your control of the sled. And you're going to give more away going sideways than you lose in terms of top speed. So, damage limitation.
Wasn't a lot of stress in this run. A little bang bang here before 11-12 combination. Here in the graveyard, she gets out late out of 13 to 14. Uphill through the graveyard with some stress there. And the back end, some Tokyo drift there into 15. But Martin, that's, you know, that's about her only mistake down in the graveyard. She's second. She's laughing.
She's laughing. That's that I got away with that getting off a roller coaster ride laugh, isn't it? Next up, Olympic champion Mariama Yamanka, not a big fan of the monobob, but she understands, like everybody else, that you've got 12 months to get yourself into potentially an Olympic championship winning state, and she will work on that.
6:29, doesn't get the great starts. Track and field athlete, comes from the field competitions hammer. Shot put. But
The
Martin,
start has been less her issue, and the driving has been more of a problem, John, just trying to get her head around the demands of these light, slithery sleds.
she's doing pretty good now, only 20 hundredths back from that deficient start.
Yeah.
Those are good lines. She should have good speed here. Second best speed. Martin,
I'm going to say it now,
she might start
and
to like
regret
it.
Immediately. This might be the best run we've seen out of her in a monobob sled so far.
I agree. This is second place.
37 hundredths back.
Second
She's
place
losing
run.
very little to Schneider.
55 or
Is she-
63rd.
Wow,
39.
4/10
She
back.
found time on the bottom. Martin.
Yes, she did.
She found
And
time on the bottom.
4/10 is one
You do the
driving
math.
error.
So she's 39 hundredths down at the. She's 11 hundredths down at the start, 39 at the bottom. She only lost 2 hundredths in that last 4 to 5 intermediate split. Everybody else been
haven't
losing
heard-
a lot more time there.
We haven't seen a smile out of her in a monobob race, never mind hearing her laugh. That's a very different reaction from Mariama Yamanka. She likes
And
that.
the best Germans yet to come. Martin, the best
Yeah.
Germans yet to come.
Well, we've got two more great German drivers to come. Stephanie Schneider, Mariama Yamanka lead at the moment. First of 4 heats of the women's monobob competition. Melanie Hassler, the 22-year-old Swiss, claimed her first ever women's bobsleigh medal in St. Moritz. She's a member of the St. Moritz Bob Club. That's the blue logo right in front of her visor. 3 races, she's been 4th, 5th and 6th in the monobobs. She gets these sleds.
Nice event in St. Moritz, not only in the monobob, but also in the World Cup event too.
Yeah.
2,800s back. Well, a lot of it 9th best start, 32. So she's 1,400s to make up. So if she stays within 2,500s here, she's doing well. 34. Ooh, now she'll lose more.
Gates into the
5th best
Kreisel.
speed. That'll go away. That'll go away. Watch out here. Now this is the problem when you hit before 11-12. She's hanging in there, Martin. She's got a few hits.
Yeah.
Graveyard. Excellent. She's right on the bubble for around a second, so like a second 10 back, Martin.
Top 6 at
Second
the line.
3. There you go. And she's only 300s from Greco from 5th. Couple mistakes down the track she could clean up that she could have got 20 more, 2,500s more. She could have been up there in 4th or so. But her teammate, Maria Fontaneva, she's a half second from her.
Yeah.
Runner tips. No steering. And there she realizes she starts to steer, and that compounds the mistake. Then she gets into that. No one gets in there that low in Kreisel. She was down there where ice nobody uses. She steered on, you know, look at her dive out here. Look how flat she got there diving out, and look what happens, bang.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hitting 2 walls before curve 11 like that.
No. Clip that little bit sticking out right on the exit of Kreisel. Todd Hayes lays the sled on the ice for Cynthia Appiah for Canada. The 30-year-old has had 3 races in these sleds. She took the silver medal in the Europa Cup race in Innsbruck, and she was 11th and 4th in the World Cup field.
Watch this start.
Yeah, she is a huge starter. 6:03 is the record in the 5s. 6:01.
6:01.
And again, the fastest start in the women's field with 2 athletes pushing a sled of the same weight was a 5:55.
Well, this is probably, you know, her and Alana Myers-Taylor. Put them in a track meet, a little heptathlon event. I would think it'd be a pretty close race between the 2 of them.
Well, and like Francesco Friedrich, now they're on the front of the sled. Finding a brakeman who can keep up is half the job. Fantastic sliding from Cynthia Appiah. Oh,
watch out.
Big hit. Well, how far back is she going to be?
Here.
Quarter second.
Whoa. She's still hanging in there for a top 3.
Still new to driving. She's as new to these as she is to the 2-seater sled. Third place.
Don't take that.
Yeah.
200s ahead of Maria Fontaneva.
Yeah. 700s behind the Olympic champion Mariami Amanka. Yeah, there was a few get-out-of-jail-free cards played in that run, but that is the nature of the beast.
It's a challenge for these female athletes coming down on these little light sleds, and this is what. Watch this. This is hits the takeout on the crossover. If you do that in a 2-person sled, you're over.
Yeah.
And then this is going into 13, 14, exit. Look how hard she hits there. I mean, that's a hard hit at that speed. That says it all.
Start record and 3rd place for Cynthia Appiah. Next up, Katrin Beil. She's not going to challenge the start record, but with bronze medals in Winterberg and Innsbruck, she's had a good season so far, struggles to get into the sled. Luckily, there's a long straight run down to corner 1. She gathers it all up, but she's 4/10 back as she does.
Well, she's going to need to take her driving experience and her prowess to seize this season's World Cup winner. And she's going to have perfect lines here to have a chance to get in the top 4, top 5, Martin. She stays within 1,500, she's got a chance.
Oh.
And that's not going to help.
Any tap down that straight into the Kreisel puts you sideways. Ooh.
Struggling now to stay within it. She won't stay within a second. She'll be second 1,500s back probably. Second 2,000s back. Boy, she skidded through the whole 15 curve.
Oh.
27. Wolfgang, you like 10th best. Well, you know, that's where you expect a good driver like Katrin Beil to come down with some good driving skills. But there was none of that there, Martin. That sled.
They do have a mind of their own.
3 kilometers down to Schneider. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the skidding. There's just not enough control for the drivers yet. And whether that's a driving mentality thing or whether they need different sets of runners for these sleds.
Well, big skid there, and 14. Graveyard, and watch this. This is like skidding through the whole curve. Such different lines that they see in the woman's 2-person sled. And here comes the favorite in the field, Martin, right here.
Yeah, 23-year-old Kim Kilicki, 7th, 10th and 6th in her 3 races this season. In Innsbruck, in Koenigsee and back in Eagles. So let's see what she's got. Teammate Stephanie Schneider still the leader.
I was saying favorite, Martin, because in training, she was setting the pace in training. And look at these lines and see how she hits here. Nope. Nope.
she's driving 4 like a 2-seater sled. Everybody else has skidded and made 4 into a 3-wave corner. She's behind Schneider from the start, but losing no more.
No, she's gaining time. She got the second best speed. She could catch Schneider here in the bottom. Good lines. 11.
Still 1100s back. That was the lead that Schneider had when she sat down. 1400s. Yeah, she's going to be second at the line.
She'll be second.
Have a German 1, 2, 3 with 1 to go. 1700s back and 3 heats. We've got a real race on our hands here, John.
Our leader, Stephanie Schneider, had the 3rd best start, but had the best drive down the track by far. No one could get near her lines. Yamaika had good lines too. Kalicki made a couple mistakes. Don't count her out yet. And let's take Schneider in the front. Let's get Kalicki starting to close the gap a little bit. Pretty much mirroring the lines, the 2 sleds.
Yeah.
You know, the difference was Kalicki got beat by 900s at the 1100s at the start. Top speed, Yamaika had the best speed on the bottom part of the track.
Interesting.
Now we're going to find out.
Well, here might be our favorite. World and Olympic champion Kaylee Humphries has had 2 races in these sleds this year. She won them both in St. Moritz and in Koenigsee. She stepped away from the Monobob in Innsbruck. And look now how everybody is using that lean back and rock forward technique. We saw, was it Melanie Hassler a couple of races ago, just rocking the sled backwards and forwards in the way that old school brakemen used to break that inertia.
Good start, only 300s back, but she drifted out of curve 1. Will cost her. Just don't want to see any bangs, especially coming up right here. She gets through there, 1 more. Ooh, big skid, down 9. She gets out of 9 with the straight runners.
She was looking forward to this race because she'll have a whole week to concentrate on it. She's in the red again, though. Speed wasn't great in the Kreisel.
Out of the red. No, she was in the red at the exit of 9, and that skid cost her. Took away a lot of the speed. 17 back, still a top 5 run for top 4 run.
She could close here as well. Very good speed at the bottom. 3rd at the line.
3rd. And 700s ahead of Yamaika.
That makes her a massive threat.
Martin, you can't win the race in this first of 4 heats, but you can lose it. And there's a couple athletes that are probably...
Yeah, the problem is, I think, until the very final sled is down in the 4th heat, we are probably going to have no clue who's going to win this. We might know a longer and longer list of who's not, but these positions could change around so easily with the 2nd heat. Yeah. Yeah, studying the video. Yeah. She's had better, she's had worse. 10 sleds down in the first ever women's monobob race, make that 15. Next up is Anastasia Makarova for the Bobsleigh Federation of Russia, just 22 years old. 3 races in these sleds. 6th in Winterberg was her best. She was 10th then in St. Moritz and 13th in Innsbruck. But those were full World Cup, full fat fields. Makarova has got a great start technique, but not a great deal of speed.
It's all about not making mistakes, you know. Up top especially, she gives up time at the start. She got the 14th best start, which sends her to a high top 10. See what she can do on the exit of 9. Pretty much what everybody else is doing with that big heavy skid on the take on the Kreisel. Another skid here. And she's doing a lot of steering, which will reflect her downtime.
Oh, boy.
Wow. We don't see stuff like this, Martin. And you know, you see it.
No.
If you do see it, you only see it maybe once in a while. But on these sleds, you see it all the way down the track.
Occasionally, you'll see a bobsleigh. Yeah, occasionally you'll see a bobsleigh driver having a look out of one window to see where he's going, not out of both side windows on the same straight. That's unusual.
Martin, you know, once in a while we take our breath and we're a little aghast at some of these lines on a 2-man or a 4-man. Here in these sleds, it's all the way down the track. Look at that. I mean, it's exciting to call because they're not coming down the track straight. As a good example right there.
Just looking at some POV footage of the new Beijing track, and that is going to be hard for these sleds as well. Lauren Altenberg for Germany, silver medalist in Innsbruck and Samoritz, her 2 races in these sleds. She, with a 6:15 getaway, is going to be a major threat here.
Also had great times at training. See what she can do.
Alta does race on the edge though, John. Right on the edge at all times. I'm not sure she has a caution setting. This is good.
1100s lead, best speed. This is the sled right here. Could put the Germans in the top 3 again, 4 out of 5. 11 to 11 means she's lost a little back. Graveyard. Pretty good. She's losing. She's going to be right to the hundreds, Martin. Unless she finds that German line down here.
And at the line, it's a track record. She leads by 700s with a 60.0 run. Okay, that was close.
Germans top of the leaderboard. Kelly Humphreys just outside the medals by 1500s. 4-heat race, and that's not 2 heats.
That's the first of 4. This is going to be some fun.
Okay, well, same colored sleds. They look pretty much the same. Graveyard, way better than most. Almost perfect.
Bronze medalist last week behind Kaylee Humphreys and Kim Kilicki. She leads for now from Stephanie Schneider and Kim Kilicki. Next up, Anne van Nieuwenhuis of Belgium. One of those who had a pretty tough time on the Altenberg ice last week in the 2-seater sleds. Let's see what she can produce here. 3 races, 14th, 15th and 14th this season. She said if you look at her starts compared to the others, you realise how much brakewoman Sarah Ertz gives her at the start. 6.60.
So if she gets within 1.3 at the bottom, she's driven well.
Yeah.
She got to that 40. Oh, look at that. She's steering hard there in Omega, and she doesn't get out clean. Real trouble. She got to steer hard because she got into that curve so late. Look at the nose here. That was an accomplishment just to get out of that curve.
Yeah.
And here, well, now she's lost so much speed.
And this is where all her instincts are basically just keeping the sled upright. It all started to slither away from 3 to 4, and it didn't get a lot more controlled until you get down to the fast corners with all the pressure to help you. 2.2 back. And that leaves her in 18th place of our 19 sleds. Of course, Alana Myers-Taylor with that rollover out of 9 that then righted itself in the Kreisel. That's not anything she'll want to experience again in a big hurry, I don't think.
Skidding.
Again, look here early on.
Back end. Look at the back end. Look at that. That's the you steer there. That's what happens. And then you should look at the airborne runners. Look at this. Watch the back runners. off the ice. Two runners off
there was
the ice.
one runner on the ice there.
Hello.
At one stage.
Hello.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Three more
with
of
you.
those. Not looking forward to that, I don't think. Not sure who's going to sleep well overnight. Now, what a great-looking livery this is for the Slovakia sled of Victoria Černánska, 18 years old. She makes her World Championship debut in any sliding discipline. 2 races. She was 7th in the Europa Cup races in Winterberg and in Innsbruck. She's done
Slovakian sled in the mix.
She's done 3 bobsleigh races in a 2-seater sled as well in Europa Cup, so she has got minimal driving experience.
I think our friend Milan Janic is her coach.
Wow. Yeah, Lisa Kaylee Humphries and Alana Myers-Taylor are drawing on years of driving experience. She's drawing on months. And I don't just mean in these sleds, in anything.
Well, she gets the award for the best artwork, Martin.
Well, given that, it's actually
wow.
a bit less of an accident waiting to happen than a couple we've seen. Spending a lot of time going sideways, but she's hanging on to it so far.
She's gonna make it down. Gonna make it down.
And that's how you get
Martin,
the experience, by completing the runs.
There's Milan. That's Milan Janic. Old veteran pilot, couple Olympic Games.
So
again,
Victoria
she wins the award for the most attractive.
That's a stunning looking livery, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Milan always had that on his sleds though, so he always dressed them up nice. Look at the back end here. That's the hardest hit between 3 and 4 and 5. Hits early, throws her up in the air. Look how much, look at her fogged, look at her face pretty fogged up, Martin.
She's breathing hard there, John. And do you know what? I'm not sure I can blame her. So, Lara Nolte, Stephanie Schneider, Kim Kalicki lock out the top 3 in our first heat so far. 20 sleds down, 3 more to go in this first ever Women's Monobob World Championship heat. And this is another rookie. First timer in a World Championship for the Ukraine, Lydia Hunko. 4 races in the old sleds. She has never driven this style of monobob before training this week. She had her first ever Europa Cup races in December, John. She is that new, like Černánska, brand new to driving this year.
Watch out here, Glenn. She comes from the strong woman competition, Martin. She's a phys ed teacher, youth phys ed teacher in school with a private job.
Yeah, interesting combination of sports,
with a bobsled
and kayaking. The kind of whitewater rafting. This is very similar, spending a lot of time with the boat moving sideways under you.
Watch out, watch out. Ooh, that is, how did she get through there like that?
Well, if she's got a lucky rabbit's paw, then she's doing well to carry it with her. Lydia Hunko, her first ever senior race, and she is done and down, 21st, 63.26.
Alana Myers-Taylor beat her by 1200ths.
But then Alana has been driving.
No, but the point here is that we have a Ukraine sled in the field. This shows what women's monobob does. It brings out smaller nations that have a chance to compete. She's driving an identical sled to the what the top sleds are driving, the German sleds. Different runners maybe, but you know, those drive lines, Martin. Look at that picture. That back runner was up in no man's land. Here, you just can't imagine the sleds going through 11-12 like that.
Has the same problems as everybody else, just doesn't quite have the experience to deal with it. But this young lady does, maybe. Lubov Chernik, 25 years old, She's fast becoming a veteran in women's bobsleigh, but she has never driven a monobob before this week. So this is a whole different universe. Now, most of her rivals have raced these sleds before. As you can see, she is already struggling to get it in anything like the direction she wants.
Well, the only person that came down the track, the middle of the track, was our first sled down, Stephanie Schneider. She's in the top of the podium. She's in second.
That's better. The more speed you have, the more G-forces in the corners, the more chance you have of controlling the sled. The art in this is going to be controlling it where there's no pressure, in low-pressure corners and on the straights. That's where all the speed goes away. That's why everybody is so much cleaner down at the bottom. 62.18, 19th place behind Anastasia Makarova, with Nadezhda Segova in 12th. That's where the three BFR athletes are at the moment. And Chernik, John, you could see quite clearly she has not got a handle on these sleds yet.
She did pretty good on the bottom part of the tracks. Up here, Martin, 2 to 3, where you can't make mistakes up there where the speeds are slow and then banging the wall like that, the sled bouncing up. Once she got the sled up to 70 miles an hour, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
Except
once
down
you've
here,
got
the
grip,
graveyard didn't help her.
Yeah. Once there's pressure, but on the straights and early on, she gave it all away. There's just no feel at all that she's looking for. Final sled in the first heat, Sylwia Smolarek of Poland. She's done 2 World Championships now in women's bob. This is her first appearance on a big stage in these new sleds. 4 races in the old plank sleds last season. She has never driven the new style monobob before this week.
I think she might be the smallest athlete in the field, Martin. She comes, believe it or not, Martin, soccer, she's a soccer player, but table tennis. And you go, wow, how can table tennis apply to that? Well, table tennis is about eyes and hands. And you need your eyes and hands out here trying to come down the track, especially here in Altenberg.
That's for sure. Oh, skidding sideways into the Kreisel. 13th best speed off the 23rd best start. This is a pretty decent drive shaping up. A few little taps, but there have been a lot more skids going on from some of the other drivers. She's going to pick off a couple. Is she going to end up in the top 20? 21st.
No, 21st.
By, where is she behind Anne van Nieuwenhuis?
4 tenths.
4 tenths behind.
4 tenths.
Yeah. Well, again, you can easily imagine anybody having a slide down here that's 4 tenths of a second slower. Just needs one big skid or a drift in the Kreisel, and all of that has gone away.
Big skidding up top here in the labyrinths. That exit of 9, it's one of the better exits, but she exits and it costs her dearly. Now, and Martin, she doesn't check the runners. She tries to steer out of those mistakes, and the result is it's like a little bit of a top, just spinning back and forth. 13, 14, not bad, and then here's, look at the rudder tips there.
Yeah.
And this is in the graveyard.
Late exit. She is down and done. Everybody is down. Alana Myers-Taylor, the only one to roll over and come back up. She completed the run. Whether she goes again in the second heat or not, maybe between her, the coach, and the track doctor. But our first heat leader is Lara Nolte. 3rd fastest at the start, but the cleanest run down, and she found speed at the bottom to overhaul the long-time leader, Stephanie Schneider. Germany's Kim Kalicki, the silver medalist in the women's competition, is in 3rd place, ahead of last week's world champion, Kaylee Humphries. So, well, Kaylee, last week, John claimed a historic 4th women's world championship in bobsleigh. She could quite easily make history again here, but She needs 3 more strong runs. So does everybody else on that first page. One loose run and you drop off the first page and are consigned, well, who knows, to history. But if you make it now, maybe not. Maybe only the final run is actually going to decide everything. Out of the top 8, Andrea Greco and Melanie Hassler. Very tight battle with Melissa Lotholtz. And actually, 2 or 3 tenths of a second is still potentially a very tight battle, because you can easily make or give away that kind of time. Alana Myers-Taylor, 22nd of our 23 sleds after her crash off the Tudai curve, corner 9. We will wait for the second heat to see whether she goes again. John will, I will, you should too. Join us as we come back in about 40 minutes from now with the second heat of the Women's Monobob World Championships.